Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear students. This is a video for the subject of education, for the course of Bachelor's in Education and for the paper of Conceptual Foundations of Education. We are going to discuss the sociology of childhood development, and in this lecture the focus will be on family as an agency of education. This video lecture is recorded by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator or the presenter of this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or the reviewer of this video is Professor Jasim Ahmed from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This video is produced under the project DTH Swayam Prabha Channels of MHRD, now called as Ministry of Education, Government of India. Hello dear students, I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at Institute of Advanced Studies in Education, Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today we are going to have a discussion on the sociology of childhood development, and in this lecture we will be discussing the family as an agency of education. So let us start the discussion first with the objectives. The objectives of this session are to elaborate the meaning and definition of the family as an agency of education, then delineate the main elements of a family, discuss the chief characteristics of a family, and explain the impact of industrialization on families. So in the previous discussion, we have discussed a lot about the agencies of education, and we have seen that how important role a family has to play in terms of leading a role as an agency of education. The family or home as an important agency of education has been exercising an everlasting and immediate influence on the behavior, on the conduct, on the character and personality of the members of this family. So the education of the child is not the exclusive responsibility of the school, but parents can also play a very important role, and they need to play a very important role in shaping and building the career of the child. And this is actually felt from a very long time. Since time immemorial, family has been playing a very important role in the training and education of the children. So it is the first place, or you can say that is the first institution where we learn our first lessons of life together with the other members of the family. We help each other and we try to learn different things with the mutual help and adjustments which are provided to us as an individual or as a child inside the family. School cannot perform all the functions alone, which have been given uh, to a school. So basically, school needs some kind of assistance from the family. So this particular assistance from the family is very much essential, and this is very much required as well. So the child spends the major part of the day inside the family. So it means that the most important influence is being imparted, or whatever knowledge is being imparted to this child also comes from the family. So we can say that as a result of this particular influence of the family on the development of the habits or the attitudes and behavior, basically this child grows in a proper way. So this particular influence which is coming from the family plays a very important role, in the growth and development of the child. The home as an informal agency of education, or you can say here, uh, family as an informal agency of education, can be considered as the oldest and the first institution in which the child actually goes. So it is at home that the child learns to walk and talk, to to make a differentiation between the simplest properties of the things. All those things which this child basically imbibe uh, are in the close contact with the family members. So all those moral values, or the differentiation between the right and wrong, such small values which are something which may be considered as the foundation stone of the personality of this child, are being laid by the family. All the good and evil, all sort of experiences, and even the human affections, whom to love, and what exactly is the meaning of loving each other, cooperating with each other. All these things come from the family. So when the child becomes a little bit older, this child continues this educational functions, and this is basically uh, gone to, or you can say is inherited to the next generations, because every child is actually seeing the other children also, and also the elders who are there in the family. So all these things, all those values go from one generation to another generation. And in this way we can say that family is a most important agency of education. So, if we try to give a particular meaning, or just want to see that what exactly is the meaning of this word family, what it can be. So, family, which is the oldest, the basic, and the fundamental unit of human society, um, most of the times consists of a husband or the male member, the wife or the female member, and children. So altogether, the children can be younger ones and the old dependents. Most of the times you will find this type of structure, but you can also find a family where there is a husband and a wife, and there can be a family where you can find that there are great grandparents, or maybe the in-laws, or the other members who are also living together in the family. So it depends on culture to culture and also country to country. So these members are all related to one another in one way or the other. So in some of the societies, even the servants were included in the family, and that is why the family may be regarded as a small social group consisting of a few related persons. And in case of our country, the picture of a family is more or less the same, where we can find few of those nuclear families who have got a male member, a female member, and children. Uh, and in the different case where we will find a lot of other family members who are living together and are making a joint family. So this is something which can be considered as the family, but we have to see that what exactly is the particular definition, or different set of definitions which are given by different scholars. So let us see that what are those definitions. So to make the meaning of a family more clear, let us just have a look on few of those definitions which are given by eminent people, educationists, which is in terms of explaining family and the meaning of family in a very proper and clear way. So the first definition which I wish to mention is given by MacLever and Page. Under quotes, the family is a group defined by sex relationship sufficiently precise and enduring to provide for the procreation and upbringing of children. Quotes close. So this is something which is very straightforward. The next definition is by Clare, under quotes. By family, we mean a system of relationship existing between parents and children. Quotes close. So this is again a very small and straightforward definition where the existing relationship between the parents and children is very much emphasized. The next definition is by Burgess and Locke. They say, under quotes, a family is a group of persons united by the ties of marriage, blood, or adoption, constituting a single household interacting and in intercommunication with each other in their respective social role of husband and wife, mother and father, son and daughter, brother and sister, creating and maintaining a common culture. Quotes close. So you can see that how they have given a little bit extended relationships who are most of the times can be seen in Indian culture. We can see this type of extended family which can be considered as the joint family. So with all these definitions, it makes very much clear that how we can define a family, what exactly the family consists of, and the interrelated persons who are the part of the family, how they interact with one another in different ways. So not only this, basically each family has its own distinct habits of clothing, eating, talking, living their lives in their own way. Even the thinking patterns are sometimes you can see that in different families there is a peculiar set of thinking patterns which can be found. So there are the items of that family's culture which can be seen in terms of all these attributes. So in this way we can say that the culture can be seen to be transmitted and preserved by the families from one generation to the next generation to the other generation. So this is something which actually makes a very clear and very structured definition of a family. So let us discuss about the main elements of family, and let me make it very much clear that whenever I'm now going to discuss the different elements or any of the aspects of a family, the scenario which I'm going to be in will be the Indian families or the Indian scenario. So my focus will be very much towards the Indian scenario. So let us just have a look at how the Indian families are actually constructed. Basically, what are the essential elements of these families? So the first point which is to be mentioned is the sexual relationship of a man and a woman. Then the next point is marriage. Marriage is the basis of this connection, and basically marriage provides the social sanction to this relationship. Then the third point is that their progeny is known to belong to them, to the parents, and to their family's name by the sanction of state, and here by state I mean the government, which guarantees their legality and status. Then the next point is that each member of this family contributes something to the family welfare, joint sharing of income to meet the needs and joint responsibility in all spheres of the activities, all spheres of the life are basically governed. Then the next point is that shared use and joint ownership of house and all attached facilities are guaranteed. So all this guarantee is basically what do we want to say, that if the children are uh, are staying with the parents in the parental home, it is basically their right. These children have the right to stay in the parental home or the family house. So these are few of those elements, the major elements of a family, and the scenario is very much Indian, which I have taken for discussion. Then let us just have a look on the chief characteristics of a family. What exactly are those features or those peculiar things which are uh, very much there in any of the family? So the first point is the universality. What exactly is the meaning of universality? A family is found in all corners of the world, and this is something which is like very kind of basic thing to say. There is no human society which does not have a family of one kind or the other. And we have just discussed that there can be a nuclear family, there can be joint families, extended families, a family which is having only a husband and wife. There can be families which would be having husband, wife, and children. There can be a family which would be having husband, wife, children, and grandparents, and many more type of families can be there. But in case of human beings, because the human beings are considered to be social beings, every time you will find one form or the other of the family throughout the world. So this is something which can be uh, discussed when we are talking about the universality of the family. Then the next point is the size. What exactly the size matters, like what exactly we mean by the size of a family, or the limited size basically. So the number of the members of a family is limited. It cannot be increased or decreased arbitrarily, but it means that like if there is a type of a family, the members cannot be added from here and there. They should be related with each other, and these relations are somehow by some means, like in case of marriage, you can see that one relationship is happening. So in this way we can say that the size of the family cannot be increased or decreased like in any hay way or arbitrarily, but there should be a very specific way in which a member can be added uh, or removed from the family. So, in this way, we can say that the concept of family denotes a few members uh, or the individuals who are related in one way or the other, who either stay together or stay with uh, each other in different homes, but they actually are related with each other. Then the next point is center of social organization. What exactly it means? Basically, a family is the smallest unit of society, and there are a lot of different families who are going to constitute, they come together and constitute a society. So, in this way, society and its structure is based upon these small units or the families. So, in this way, we can say that the families are the center of the social organization. The next point is that innate tendencies as basis of family. What exactly it means? The innate tendencies born out of the sexual relations of husband and wife, and these are the essentiality and the foundations of a family. So basically, this is the starting point of a family. And these tendencies are mainly innate and inborn. So there are a lot of theories to explain these innate tendencies and the inborn uh, features. In this lecture, we are not going to explain all these things, but this is something which actually is the starting point for a family, the sexual relationship between a man and a woman. Then the next point is the constructive influence. What exactly is the constructive influence? The family exerts the most formative and powerful influence on the development of a child's personality. This is something which we can't ignore, that the role of this family, members of the family, uh, is so powerful, the influence is so powerful that we can find a child growing in a way in which the family is actually trying to make the growth happening. So we can say that it is the family which imprints the permanent and indelible impressions upon the growth of the child. So you can see by these words that how important constructive influence actually the family lays on the child's growth. The next point is the responsibility. What is this? What exactly it means? Each member of family shares the responsibility of maintaining the family in one way or the other. So every person, every individual inside this family is having some role, and they have the responsibilities towards each other. So generally we can find that adults play a little bit greater responsibilities than the children. So in this way, we can say that the role is a little bit specified, that adults are going to earn the bread, and then the children will be growing up in a very proper way, and then once they grow up, they will also start sharing the responsibilities of earning the wages or earning the bread for the family. So in this way, the responsibilities are very much shared and very much peculiar. Then the next point is the social values. What exactly these social values have to do once we are talking about the family? So if we say that a family is the cradle of all social values, we will be correct. How we will be correct? Basically, the family setup, which includes different social components, it tries to inculcate the socially desirable values and high qualities of character in the family members, who ultimately become useful and dynamic citizens devoted to national service and international understanding. So this is something which is starting from the family. And you can even think of that if it goes other way round, what can be the scenario? The scenario can be just vice versa. So that's why we can say that the imparting the social values is the first responsibility which is imparted by the family and the members of the family from one generation to the other generation. The next point is the permanent institution. What exactly is this? Has to say what exactly is the meaning of permanent institution. Basically, a family is a permanent institution because its basis and relationship is permanent. Its members may depart, or they can live at different places in different homes. Their association or living together may be temporary from some reason or the other, but the basic relationship remains permanent. So because of the for getting a job, or for the purpose of studies, there can be a shift of location from one location to another location, but the ties are going to remain the same. So this feature or this relationship inside a family is basically a permanent feature. uh, there can be a shift of location, but it is not going to make any kind of impact on this association which is there and which is very much permanent. So these are a few of those characteristic features which actually give a kind of proper impetus to a family. So let us have a look at what exactly we can find the evolution pattern of the families in the scenarios in which we have seen that industrialization is happening and people are migrating from villages to cities. So all those things happen once the industrialization started from the 18th century, and it led to the progressive decline of different joint family systems. So, for the sake of getting jobs and getting employment, uh, because the employment opportunities were much in the industrialized cities or the places where the industries were laid, so people started migrating from one place to other, and this has laid a kind of uh, separation of the family members from each other. So this has given a kind of uh, starting point of the disintegration of the joint family systems, and this has happened throughout the world. Most of the parts of the world has seen this type of evolutionary trend in terms of joint families transforming into nuclear families. So let us just have a look at what are those uh, specific results when we can find the disintegration of joint families happening in the society. So the first point which is to be mentioned is the size of the family. We have discussed it earlier also that in case of joint families, the size of the family was a little bit larger. So joint families progressively disintegrated into small fragments and units of 2 or 3 persons only. So a husband may be moving to the city. So after some time, once this person is a little bit established, he will try to bring his wife also along with him, and then maybe the children arrive. So in this way, you can see that a small unit of a nuclear family is now established in the city. So the family planning and the different programs and the complexity of the multiplied needs have further reduced the size of the families. This is something which is very much related to the population control, because once the people started getting aware that the resources are limited, and if they are willing to impart good education, good facilities to their children, they have to make the family size limited, and in this way they will be uh, in a better way giving the resources available to their children. So this is something again uh, which has given the size of the families a little bit shape. The next point is the effect on the traditional vocations. A small modern family cannot satisfy the diverse needs of the child. So this this child basically would be needing um, some of those mental abilities, the physical abilities, the emotional and vocational development things, and all these things uh, can be seen going beyond the powers and capacities to the small sized individual family, because in these small sized individual families there is a possibility that both male and female members would be working. So if this child is not having anybody else's uh, support or care, these abilities, the physical, mental, emotional, and vocational development, all these things are going to get hampered. So, this is something which you can see that as the joint family system has disintegrated, the development of children was also a little bit um, impacted by the disintegration. So in this way, the other institutions have come to the forefront to satisfy this need, where the child who is basically having both the parents who are working, how this child is to be taken care of. So there were a lot of different institutions like the daycares or the creches, all those institutions came up. So day by day, these new institutions established either by the community or by the state to meet the diverse developmental needs of children. So basically, these are the institutions who have got their inception from the need which was felt by the society, and then on the basis of this need, either the community or the government established these institutions for taking care of the children. Then the next point is decay of the family power. What is this? Basically, in if you go ahead and see the olden times, there was a head of the family. It can be a man or a woman. This member of the family, who was considered as the head, was having a lot of control over the young ones, and a lot of powers were given, or you can say, with this elder person. So there was a control of this head of the family on the entire family. But in today's scenario, because we are now seeing that the joint family system is dissolving and disintegrating, uh, this type of discipline or the control is gradually decreasing, or you can even see that it is going not to be seen in most of the families. On the account of the democratic process, the urge for freedom and the initiative by the young ones is also there. So they don't feel like that there should be somebody who is going to tell them to do this or that, or they are feeling that we are living in a free country, so there should be all those rights to us, which can be invested, like which can be harnessed by the young ones. So there is a thought process also which is coming in, and it is giving a shape to the society. So in few words, what we can say that the family power has decayed, and this has given rise to the concept somehow that all the family members are equal, and everybody has got some freedom to permeate in the innermost chambers of the family. So everybody can take decisions for the family. But sometimes we find that this type of decision making gives a little bit of bad result for the future. But this is something which is happening uh, in our country as well in the other countries. So this is something which is again a ill effect of the disintegration of the joint family system, where the head of the family was having a lot of powers, and these powers were a kind of governing powers who were uh, making the discipline of the family very much enriched. The next point is changed morality concept. What exactly this? Uh, there would be few people who may not agree with this morality concept, but once we talk about the Indian culture, this is something which is very much enshrined in our culture. The morality, which if you go ahead and see the olden times, there were a lot of family traditions and the social customs, and which were basically giving a kind of uh, ethos to the family members of the family, that this is something which is to be followed. These are the traditions, these are the customs which are to be followed. Like in case of a marriage, uh, there were a lot of rituals which were being done, and then even the concept of marriage, which was considered to be the institution of sanctity and duty, which is somehow nowadays disintegrating. So each member was very much conscious and sensitive of the moral values which were prevalent in his or her family. In today's scenario, you can find a little bit of different pictures. It can be, uh, it's not compulsory that you will find a reverse picture everywhere, but we are finding in general that now the cultural aspects of the families are somehow disintegrating. So we can see that this has given rise to a lot of stress, and then the stress is also towards adapting the modern technology, the modernity. Even this modernity at times leads to the westernization, which can't be compared with the modernity. So this is something which we can see that can be considered as the outcome of the disintegration of the joint family system. Then the next point is control of the state. So the state or the government has, you can say that has now basically entered into the sacred, uh, the premises of the family. The moral, religious, and social life of the individual have come under the control and guidance of the state, because everything is getting some sort of registration, and things are being uh, coming under the edges of the state. So somehow there is a control uh, which is there, and you can find the control very much. You can feel the control very much once you think of that how the control is happening. Uh, the the social lives, the religious lives, the moral lives are now getting impacted. So we see that even the family welfare also is now planned, guided, and controlled by the state, and the family has to conform and obey. In few of the countries, like in case of China, we have seen that there was uh, a law or a rule which was called as the one child rule, well, one child law. So, though it was abolished, but we can see a very kind of straight control on the structure of the family, which is governed by the state. So, this is something which is again uh, you can find that these type of controls are also somehow possible because of the disintegration of the joint family system. So these are few of those viewpoints which I wish to mention related to the impact of the industrialization, or the gradual evolution of the families from joint family systems to the different set of nuclear family systems or other systems. So now we have reached to the conclusion of this particular lecture. This lecture is followed by another lecture where we will be discussing that how the family is playing a lot of important roles in terms of educating the child. So this is the initial lecture. Here we have seen the meaning of the family. We have seen that family is a small social group which is consisting of parents and their children, and there are another set of family structures which can be found in many places, and the main element of the family can be the sexual relation of husband and wife, the marriage, heredity, joint responsibility, and the sharing of residence. Then we have seen the chief characteristics of the family, which we can find to be: the first one is the universality, then the size or the limited size of a family, and central role of the family in the social organization, then the innate tendencies as the basis of family, constructive influence, then the responsibility, then the social values, and the permanent institution. We have also seen that how in the industrialized society we can find a gradual shift from the joint family system to the different type of family systems, the nuclear family systems, and how this gradual evolution, or coming from one to another, has laid a lot of ill effects on the family system. So we can see that with the influence of industrialization, the size of the family has got a different meaning now. We can find a small family, and where both of the members can be working, so the growth and development of the child is hampered, which has given uh, like a kind of need is arised for those institutions which can be providing some sort of assistance to the parents uh, of this child. Both, if both the parents are working, then this child can be kept in that institution, and these institutions are either created by the community members or by the government. Then we also have seen that the lack of traditional activities, uh, and also the decline in the family control, change in the concept of morality, and the control of state are some of those peculiar features which can be uh, seen to be caused by the industrialization, or the impact of industrialization, which is leading us towards the disintegration of the joint family systems. These are few of those references and the suggested links which were used while creating the lecture. You can also go ahead and see through these, and you can enhance your knowledge. So for this time, this much is enough. We will see each other in the next lecture. We will be talking about in a more elaborate way about the family and the role of family in terms of education or the education process of the child. Thank you so much. Dear students, you were watching a video on the sociology of childhood development, and in this lecture we discussed about family as an agency of education. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the national lockdown period for COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your email to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you so much.